Good morning students, welcome back to this session. In the previous class you have understood that statistics for economics plays a very important role. The subject statistics is very important to understand economics. Our subject economics studies how the unlimited wants are being satisfied with a very limited resources, and this to understand statistics, to understand the term economics, understanding of statistical term, numerical terms becomes very important. So an art of household management, our subject economic is an art of household management. So to manage all those household crises, the subject economics plays a very important role here with the statistics. So statistical, I just discussed that how statistics helps to study the subject economics, because all economic problems like unemployment, illiteracy, population, ignorance, inflation, all these are our economical terms. The economical problems which we are facing in everyday life. What is unemployment? Unemployment is the problem of job. People without job, they have their degrees and they don't have any kind of job. This is a very important concept. Then population, rapid growth of population, the number of people. Then illiteracy, people are not educated. Illiterate peoples are becoming, people are not completely educating their children. So there are so many economical problems. Okay, differences between the male, female, then having only preferences given only for the boy child. Okay, these are all economical problems which we need to study. There is, suddenly the problem has taken place, somewhere there is an earthquake, and you have to represent the numerical terms. Numerical terms becomes very important to study our subject economics, that I have made you to understand in chapter 1. And my last class discussion was how statistics helps to understand the subject of the economics. So here that was a very small introduction with the statistics for economics. That was from part A, students. So you have just understood my introduction with statistics for economics, because you have part A, which is only introduction, totally about statistics for economics, that is mean, median, mode, all those things we are going to study, variance. Okay, we are going to study on in coming chapters. So now we have part B also, students. Part B, and I am going to start with lesson number 2. Okay, part 2, it is about relating to Indian economic development. Indian economic development, it is about our Indian economy. So since from before independence. So I am going to start with chapter 2, because chapter A is related with Indian economy before independence and at the time of independence, and here I am going to discuss Indian economy after independence till the 1950 to 1990. You are going to study in this chapter, that is Indian economy since 1950 to 1990. So part B is about Indian economic development, how the development in the Indian economy took place during the time of Britishers. And here in the chapter 1 you are going to discuss about Indian economy before independence and at the time of independence. So before independence we had a lot of problem relating to developing Indian economy, like zamindari system, having land ceilings, all those are the very important problems, economical problems which we were facing before independence and at the time of independence, and how the changes took place. You will be studying in chapter 1. So I am going to start, because sir is going to do that chapter, and I am going to start with chapter 2, that is part B, Indian economy. What is the name of the chapter, students? Indian economy since 1950 to 1990. What is the chapter I am going to start now? I am going to start with part B. What is part B? Indian economic development. And part B, lesson number 2, and the name of the chapter is Indian economy 1950 to 1990. I have a lot of things to discuss in this chapter. I just wanted to first give an introduction about my name of my chapter, Indian economy. All my first PSC students should understand the concept of Indian economy very clearly. Indian economy So economy is what? An economy is a condition. A condition, or it is a session where people try to earn their livings. Where the people try to earn their livings. An economy is a session where production, okay, consumption, distribution and exchange of goods and services takes place. What is an economy? Let us understand very clearly. Indian economy means it is a session where the people try to earn their living, or it is a condition in an economy people try to earn their livings. What is going to happen in Indian economy? In an Indian economy, production, consumption, distribution and exchanging of goods and services takes place. Production is what? Production of goods and services. How the goods are being produced in an agricultural sector, industrial sector, service sector. Services, the service of a doctor, the service of a teacher, the service of a lawyer. So that is called as production of goods and services. Then consumption. So whatever the goods are being produced, it has to be consumed. Normally when you hear the term consumption generally means have you consumed your food. But in economics it is something different. In our subject, consumption is not only the consumption of your food, it is the consumption of both goods and services. So I'm using a chop piece. This is nothing but I'm consuming a chop. So it is not only, generally when you hear the term consumption, it may be used like this. The general term is have you consumed your food. So anything which you consume. But in our subject economics, consumption is not only consumption of a food. It can be a consumption of both goods and services. Like you are using a pen, you are using a book. Have you consumed your book? You have got satisfied. That is a consumption. You have gone to a doctor. You have taken the medicine, and doctor has given the medicine, and then you are consuming the service of a doctor. So here what happens? Consumption in economics is not only the consumption of goods, it is the consumption of services also. Then we have distribution. So whatever the produced goods there has done, it has to be distributed. So example, in agricultural sector, farmer has done the production. That produced commodity has to be sent to the market. Agricultural commodity like rice, wheat, sugar, and those things has to be sent to the market. When it is sent to the market, it is called as distribution. Then from it will go to the wholesale market, and from wholesale market it will go to the retail shops. Then from the retail shop it will reach to the consumer. There are a lot of things to discuss, students. When you are talking about distribution, see, I told you, first distribution will go to the wholesaler. Then retail. Then it will go to the retail shop. Then from retail shop, this will come to the consumer. So in this way distribution will take place. There is a channel here. Okay. From distribution from agriculture, you can just talk about distribution from agricultural land. Then from agricultural land to the wholesaler, from wholesaler to the retailer, and then to the consumer. In this way distribution is also which is taking place in the economy. Then exchanging of goods and services. Whatever the produced goods are there, whatever the services are there, it has to be exchanged, and that is exchanging from one place to another place. In this way, in the economy, production, consumption, distribution and exchanging of goods takes place. So you have to know this economy, because you will this concept will continue for your second PUC also. What is an economy? An economy is a condition, or it is a session where it is a mechanism where the people try to earn their livings. What is an economy? Where the people try to earn their livings. In the sense, when you wanted to live, you need to earn. Why you need to earn? If you earn, you will get the income. If you get the income, from that income, you will purchase the goods and services. With the purchasing of goods and services, you are consuming that goods and you are consuming that services. And when you are consuming that goods and services, you are getting satisfaction. So in this way, people, when you wanted to, all of us, let us not go with total people, all of us, when you wanted to live, in the sense, when you wanted to live in this world, you need to earn. It is not only if you earn, well, you will live. Why we wanted to earn is to survive. We want goods and services. Goods and services are not available freely in the market. What you need to give, you need to give the money for that goods and services. How will you get the money? You have to earn. So you have to work, and if you work, you will get the income. So in this way, when a person wanted to live, he has to, and by purchasing goods and services, you are consuming that, and finally you are getting satisfaction. So in this way, what is an economy? Economy is a session where the people try to earn their livings, then where production, consumption, distribution and exchanging of goods and services will take place. So I don't know, I have a lot of things to tell about this chapter, students. This is only about the Indian economy. So when we got independent, India got independent on 15th August 1947. So we are talking about after independent. This chapter speaks about after independent, how the economic changes has taken place in the agricultural sector, industrial sector, service sector. You know what is agricultural sector? Production of goods and services. What is industrial sector? Production of converting raw material into finished good is called as industrial sector. Then service sector, banking, insurance, communication, all these are service sector. So this is about Indian economy since 1950 to 1990. So I am going to start with very important topics here. Now I have the first thing to discuss here is planning. What is planning? Everyone has plan. It is not planning to go for a movie. Okay? Planning. Okay, here we are talking about economic planning because Indian economy since independence. So, planning is an economic action. Economic action. So, planning, you can declare it as an economic action which guides which will guide how the resources of the economy should put for the different users. So what is planning? Planning is an economic action which guides how the resources of the economy should have to put for the different users. So planning should have some definite aim. Planning should have some definite goal. This is also a very important thing. When you have planning, you should have definite goal, and you should have that particular goal with specified objective which has to be achieved within a specified period of time. And here we should have a goal and we should have a specified period of time. So this is planning, students. Who have not understood, please listen here. I am going to repeat another very important term because this chapter is related with the planning, because before independent, that is 1940, before 1947, we were under the British control. India was under the British control. We were slaves under the Britishers. Then with our great struggle, with the great fightings of the freedom fighters, India got independent on 15th August 1947, and at that time we were totally nothing we had, we were like nothing aware of. Then planning started. So our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, he made planning, this 5-year planning. Then planning started. So before I start the planning, what is planning you should know. I will just make you to understand here. Planning is an economic action. What is the planning? Planning is an economic action or an economic action which guides how the resources of the economy have to put for the different uses, and planning should have some definite goal, and that goal has to be achieved within a specified period of time. Fine. You have a planning, you have taken your first PUC admission. So you have a goal, you have made a plan. So you can just compare the planning with yourself. So you have taken your admission for the first PUC, and here what happens? You have to make a planning. So anyhow, because of this pandemic, we are not able to have a direct contact classes, and we are doing online classes. Now it is a time for our students to make a plan, like how you are going to make a schedule. Yes, here you have to make a plan that yes, this is my chapter where this is the beginning of second chapter I am doing, whereas I have already completed my first chapter. What you can do is you can go with the previous classes, write down the points, and you can just make a plan. And okay, fine, whenever there is a test you can just start. No, you have to make a goal, and okay, when teacher announced about the test or whatever the midterms, I will prepare. No, you should make a specified period of time. You can't plan like this. I have taken admission for this year, I will complete after 3 days. It is possible? No. So here they are telling that specified period of time is also very important. So what is planning? Planning is an economic action which guides how the resources of the economy has to put for the different uses, and planning should have some goal and it should have some period of time. This is called as planning, students. Now, land reform. How many of you know land reform? This chapter is a very interesting chapter. It goes on with many things. I have some 6-mark questions based on land reform. So here you should only know what is land reform. When I go for the 6 marks, I will go with the deep in the land reform. Land. What is land? Soil. Okay. Reform. What is reform? Reform means changes. The term reform means changes. Land is soil. So here we are talking about agricultural land, not the floor or what you bought that land. We are talking about agricultural land. So land reform refers to the changes. Change in the ownership of the land. So the changes which you bring in the agricultural cultivation. So as I told you that students, land reform plays a very important role in the cultivation of agricultural crops. What was happening? The changing in the ownership of the land. Sealing on land holdings was done. What we are doing, the zamindars during independence and before independence, they used to acquire the lands and they used to make the labor as a bonded laborer. So land reform refers to the change in the ownership of the land. So change which can include like sealing on land holdings and abolition of intermediaries. What is sealing of land holdings? We'll have another important topic here. Sealing means fixation of maximum size of the land which should be owned by the owner. So during that time zamindars used to have acres of the land, and so what was happening? Richest were becoming richer and the poorest were becoming poor. Maximum land were owned by the one zamindars. Later on, then sealing on land holdings came into existence. So government made a limit. Take example, 5 acres of the land for one particular owner should own. So here what happens? Land reform is nothing but change in the ownership of the land. Now we have marketed surplus. I just told you I am going to discuss only small topics. Later on when I come for the 6 marks and 4 marks, you will understand the other concepts. Surplus. Marketed surplus. So after the consumption, whatever the remaining, so marketed surplus is nothing but the agricultural product. So the surplus, the portion of surplus which is left after your consumption. And now we have, again as I told you, sealing, land sealing. Maximum sealing means a fixation of maximum limit of the land which should be owned by the owners. Now I have a last very important thing here, that is GDP, that is gross domestic product. As first PUC students, You'll understand this very clearly when you have go for the 6 mark question. You have a GDP, NDP, NNP. All those are very important concepts. I'm just going to discuss about a small meaning. GDP. GDP is gross. Gross domestic. Domestic is what? Within a country. Then product. So this is gross is nothing but the total. Domestic is within a country. Like example, within the boundaries of a nation. So whatever the product is nothing but the production. So whatever the goods and services which is produced with the total goods and services which is produced within the nation, within our country. Here exports and imports are not included. GDP is a very important concept for economic students here, because GDP says what is the total number of goods and services produced within the boundaries of a nation. So total goods and services which are being produced. So when I go with the 6-mark question, I will go in the deep to understand, make you to understand this GDP. So I think so you have understood about the planning, land reforms, marketed surplus, land ceiling, and our gross domestic product. So we will continue with the next class students. Thank you. 20.